So what's the impact of this posture of heart? Because your question to me is dignity of stewardship. Let's see the impact of this acknowledgement. In so acknowledging God as the owner of everything, the Christian sees himself, the Christian sees herself as responsible to God or answerable to God for what? For the wise use of all things, not just some things, but all things that God has entrusted to him. I say all things because we live at a time where even amongst Christians who do appreciate there is a place for stewardship, there is this tendency to think we are only accountable to God for some things. So the tithing Christian will give 10% and then think God has no control over the remaining 90%. It's as if I'm done with God when I gave towards God's work, and therefore I can do with what remains as I wish. No, the Christian acknowledges, the steward acknowledges that all things belong to God. Not just his time in church, but his time at work also. Not just his relationships with the fellow brethren here at church, but even his relationship with the enemies who hate him and persecute him. Even that belongs to God. And so the Christian must wisely use everything that God has entrusted to him. Now, when we talk about wisely using what God has entrusted to him, then two other things come in as we think about this acknowledgement. The first thing is, if I'm going to wisely use what God has entrusted to me, whether I'm talking about my body, whether I'm talking about my relationships, whether I'm talking about my job, whether I'm talking about my salary, if I'm going to wisely use it, then I must ask myself, for what purpose have I been given what I have been given? There has got to be mission mainstreamed into the thought of the person if there's going to be wise use. Because it's been given to you for a purpose, you must ask, why have I been given this thing? So the steward acknowledges that everything belongs to God and therefore wisely uses what has been given to him. And wise use entails two things. The first one is mission. I have been given this thing for a purpose, and I must only use it for that purpose. If I use it for any other purpose, then that is abuse, and that would not be stewardship or proper stewardship. The second thing that wise usage requires is not just being aware of the mission, but also the acceptable means of attaining the mission. So the Christian is one who asks himself or herself, what is the prescribed method of utilizing what has been entrusted to me for achieving the purpose that the entruster, the owner, had in view when he gave me these things?